Dear students, hello. Today we are going to speak about the last function of management. Today we are speaking about controlling. I'm sharing my presentation. Okay, great. So I'm still Pavlov Green. And today we are going to speak about the fourth function of management. Generally, it is I think even a mistake to say that it is the last function of management. It is the fourth function of management, but as far as a manager has to use all four functions in cycle, I would say that this function is only one from the four main functions. Yes, if speaking chronologically, we can say that first of all, we have to create a strategy. We have to set objectives. It is the result of planning function. Then we have to define uh, uh, organizational structure, and we have to delegate all the tasks to the subordinates. It is the result of organizing function. Then we have to provide an appropriate reward for everybody. It is a result of motivating function, and only then we have to check whether we have attained all the objectives or not. It is the controlling function. However, after controlling function, we have to recraft our strategy. Even in the case that all our objectives are attained, we can say that we have to change our strategy because of some changes in the external environment. Generally, we can define controlling function as it is written at the screen. Controlling is in simple term is the process by which management determines whether its decisions are correct or need to be modified. It is very important to understand that usually people don't like to be controlled, and this term has some negative reaction from other people, and you have to understand that generally your task as a manager not to keep everybody in line, but only to check whether all the objectives of your company are attained. And here is the second definition of controlling. Controlling is the process of ensuring that all the organization, all the parts of the organization are attaining its objectives, or generally the organization is attaining its objectives. Control is necessary. I think you have no doubts about it. Because without controlling function, it is not possible to check if we have attained all our objectives. You know that external environment has very important characteristic. The characteristic is uncertainty. That's why our world is unpredictable, and we have to check everything not only at the end of the process of how to say, not only then that the time is over for some activity, but we have to check everything in parallel with activity. We will speak about it a little bit later. You have to understand that controlling a function should be used not only after the action, but also in parallel with every action and even before every action. And also why we have to check, why we have to use this function, because from previous lecture you have understood that everybody has different needs, different perceptions, different values, and thereafter you have to change maybe incentive for some workers in your company. And also there's only one way sometimes to check if the incentive is correct. You have to just to check if the person is motivated. So you can say that, okay, the incentive, the reward is appropriate for this very person. And also, there is only one way to check it, is controlling. And also controlling, when you use this function in parallel with activity, it can prevent a crisis, because if you use only the post-action controlling after the time is over, it could be the situation that it is a crisis in your company. So you have to check everything also, then every activity is going on. And generally, when you identify all your mistakes with the help of controlling, it is a basis for crafting the strategy and the success for future. Controlling must be inbuilt to every piece of activity of a manager. So it shouldn't be like this, that first of all you plan something, then you are organizing something, then you are motivating your subordinates, and only then you want to check something. No, it is an integral part of every activity, and how it is from the first point of view, it could be, it sounds strange, yes, but in a few minutes I do hope that you will agree with me. It's because controlling has three forms: preliminary, concurrent, and post-action. So when we are speaking about controlling, people usually think that, okay, we have to check the results only after activity, but to correct some mistakes, small mistakes within the activity, we have to use the type of controlling which has name concurrent control. It means that it is conducted in parallel with activity, and sometimes we have to check something before the activity. We call it as preliminary controlling. So preliminary controlling is called preliminary because it takes place before actual work begins. First of all, we are setting our objectives, and from our previous lectures, you remember that the objectives must be set with the help of smart technology. When we are setting the objectives with key performance indicator, we are setting the indicators, and we are setting the scale which will be checked after the activity is over. Also, we have to check whether all our staff is qualified enough, which have to check our resources, because to produce something with good quality, we need some raw materials and details with good quality. And also we have to create the budget, because how it is possible to understand is it okay or not? We have to create a plan to be checked after. So when we are creating a financial budget, we are using actually two functions: planning, and it sounds a little bit strange maybe, but also we are using preliminary control. The second type of controlling is concurrent control. Concurrent control takes place when the work is in progress, so in parallel. To use this type of controlling, we have to build an appropriate feedback system. And if we organize feedback system, it is data about the results in real time. It helps us to prevent big deviations in future. And post-action control, it is quite easy to understand this type of control. When then the task is completed. So we are checking if everything is good or not. Or sometimes maybe the activity is not completed, but the time is over. And we have to check if everything is correct. And generally, this type of controlling provides the managers the information to change, to craft a strategy for the company in the next step. And also the second function of post-action control, just a moment. Just a moment. Something is wrong, but I'm sharing my presentation again. And the second important function of post-action controlling is that we will use these results for motivating of our staff. So we are checking the results of everybody, and then we are providing the rewards connected with the performance of every subordinate. Generally, the control process has three stages: setting standards, comparing performance to standards, and taking necessary corrective actions. When we are setting standards, actually we are setting objectives with the help of smart technology. So when the objective is specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based, it is possible to use this objective in future. Because if the objective doesn't have these characteristics, it's not possible to use it in managerial activities. Generally, you have to understand that not everything can be measured. Not everything can be measured. But if you cannot measure something directly, you can measure it indirectly. For example, it is very difficult to understand motivating, and you can of your staff, if the motivation system is okay, so you can use, for example, labor turnover to check the motivating system of your company. So if labor turnover is low, you can say that the motivating system is completely okay. However, it could be situation that if you are measuring some indicator, some process indirectly, it could be some mistakes. For example, labor turnover is low, but nobody in your company is satisfied with the rewards. However, they do not want to quit your company because to find a new working place nowadays is quite a big problem, quite a big deal. That's why if you are measuring something indirectly, it could be some mistakes. But you have to understand that to measure something indirectly is better than not to measure some process at all. And comparing performance to standards, you just, at this second stage, you are just comparing the results with your strategy, with your planned results. Generally, you have to understand that you have to increase profit, and you don't need to know everything about everything. So if your subordinate has good results, you don't have to understand the working process. If everything is going on with good performance, let it be. And general action, do nothing, correct the deviation and revise the standards. Generally, it is easy to explain these three actions with the help of managerial cycle. If we found that everything is attained, all our objectives are attained, actually we can do nothing. It means that we have to continue analysis of external environment. And if we see that in external environment there is no changes, it is possible to use our strategy next period of time, next year, next month, next week, next day. But if something is going wrong, we have it generally it can be two possibilities. The first possibility is our objectives are initially unattainable, and that's why we have to recraft our strategy, so revise the standards, or we can discover that it were some mistakes at the stages of organizing or at the stages of motivation. So we have to change maybe something in the process of delegating. Maybe we have to use another organizational structure. Maybe we have to use another incentive, another rewards. Maybe we have to change the motivating system generally. So it means that we are correcting deviations. Okay, generally I explained these screens with the help of the picture. We can do nothing, we can correct deviation, or we can revise standards. And to be effective, to be effective, the controlling process must have the following characteristics. It must be strategic. It must support the strategy, the mission statement of the company. It must be focused on results, not like, you know, you don't need to check something if it is not crucial. You don't have to check when, for example, some subordinate comes to his working place. Maybe somebody is a little bit late. Maybe this man or this lady had to take the child to the kindergarten. Maybe it was some problems with traffic, but if the result of if the performance of this person is okay, you have to focus only on the results of this person. It must be an appropriate. It means that it must be appropriate to the activity that is controlled. It must be timely. It means that you have to use not only post-action controlling, but also concurrent controlling. And it must be flexible enough. If you see that something must be changed, it's okay. You can change some maybe key performance indicator, and it must be rather simple because you have to understand that your task is profitability generally of your company, or if speaking a little bit higher, your task is the best satisfaction of needs of your customers. So the controlling function hasn't been in the center of management. And also it must be economic. You shouldn't pay a lot of time and a lot of money to these function of management. Okay. Thank you for watching this video. See you. Bye-bye.